rode into Medina with his foot in the door. They had the book he needed, and he needed so much more. Faced Jerusalem in prayer, sent the signal he knew. If you want the people of the book, you learn to look like them too. Qibla, which way are you facing? Qibla, who are you really chasing? The direction you pray tells the story you hide. Qibla, when the door closed, you just changed which side.
We imagine pre-Islamic Arabia as a theological vacuum, an empty expanse isolated from the outside world. But the historical record shows a hub of activity. The peninsula was entangled with the empires surrounding it. The major trade routes of the Hijaz were corridors where the theological debates and power struggles of the Byzantine and Sassanid worlds were constantly circulating. The region didn't lack sophisticated religious ideas. It was a landscape filled with them. What it lacked was a single political vehicle to unify the tribes holding those ideas. The catalyst for that change arrived in 525 CE, 50 years before Muhammad's birth. The Christian kingdom of Aksum, located across the Red Sea in modern Ethiopia, invaded the Himyarite kingdom in Yemen. The defeat ended the reign of the last Jewish king of Yemen and shattered a literate, monotheistic civilization that had existed for 1,000 years. This collapse forced a mass migration. Displaced scholars and refugees fled north into the Hijaz, carrying their texts and their distinct religious history into cities like Yathrib. Muhammad was born into this environment one generation later. He didn't encounter these Abrahamic concepts in a vacuum. He grew up in a region where the vocabulary of a displaced, monotheistic civilization was already part of the atmosphere. As a young man, Muhammad worked the trade caravans leading north towards Syria. These journeys placed him directly within a network of active theological arguments between Christian monks and Jewish scholars. At this time, there was a clear regional divide in how people spoke about a supreme deity. In the north, the tribes used the name Allah, but inscriptions from the south show that the Yemenites recognized a single monotheistic god called al-Rahman, the merciful. These two traditions eventually merged into a single sentence, Bismillah al-Rahman al-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate. This formula bridged the two regions. It allowed the movement to use indigenous Arabian terms that the tribes already recognized, while simultaneously meeting the monotheistic requirements of the displaced southern diaspora. By synthesizing the commercial influence of the north with the religious history of the south, the movement established a broader base of credibility than any single tribe could have achieved on its own. In 610 CE, Muhammad began retreating to the cave of Hira for periods of isolation. It was during one of these retreats that he had the experience that would define the rest of his life. But the primary sources don't show a man emerging with the claim of divine authority. Instead, they describe him running home in terror, telling his wife Khadijah that he feared he was possessed or losing his mind. The legitimacy of the event was framed by those closest to him. Khadijah took him to her cousin, Waraqah, a scholar who was already a student of the biblical tradition and the scriptures circulating through the region. Waraqah provided the context Muhammad lacked. He explicitly compared the experience in the cave to the revelations given to Moses, and he was the one who first told Muhammad he would be the prophet of his people. The title of prophet was a framework supplied by mentors who already understood the history of the Abrahamic tradition. They were the ones who recognized how to apply that history to what Muhammad had experienced in the cave. This validation allowed the movement to grow. In Yathrib, the Rabbi Abdullah ibn Salam saw that a homegrown Arabian prophet provided a way to unify the disparate tribes under a single identity. This unification happened just as a massive power vacuum opened to the north. Decades of war between the Sassanids and Byzantines had left both empires exhausted and their control over the Levant weakened. To take advantage of this, the tribes needed more than a shared language. They needed a shared objective. The movement provided the religious and political structure necessary to turn fractured clans into a unified force capable of expansion. The early architecture of the movement was designed to solve the problem of tribal division, creating a force that could finally challenge the empires to the north. We see this objective in the community's earliest actions. For the first 16 months after the migration to Medina, the direction of Muslim prayer was not toward Mecca, but toward Jerusalem. The focus only shifted to Mecca after it became clear that the local Jewish communities would not join the political coalition. Muhammad died in 632 CE. Just 5 years later, the followers he had unified successfully captured the city they originally faced in prayer. Jerusalem fell to the Arabian armies in 637. The man who fled the cave in terror had become the figurehead of a movement that had achieved its original geopolitical goal. But the story of what happened once they held that empire is only just beginning.